What up, motherfuckers? Oh, we can't cuss in the first 10 seconds, Javi said.
Why?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Like
YouTube rules.
YouTube immediately will it'll demonetize and like push you way down the algorithm. It's not the first 10 seconds. It's like I think like the first 30 seconds to a minute. There can't be any profanity.
All right, then. What up, mother lovers? And welcome to another episode of Political Deviance.
What the fuck are we even? Oh, Jesus Christ.
You can't even stop for 10 seconds, man.
I'm like Eminem. I promised the senses I wouldn't cuss for 10 minutes. Or what? I wouldn't say fuck for 10 minutes.
Good morning, fans. Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Political Daddiance.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about all the issues that are important to everyone today, or issues that are important to us every day. We're just talking about whatever, because we're just a bunch of casual guys. We're dads. Well, y'all are dads. I'm probably a dad, but you know, being black, I don't know who my kids are.
You know what I hate? I don't know if I hate it. I just think I hate it because I don't know the actual details and what goes into this. People who stay behind during storms voluntarily, not because they can't move or because, you know, they don't have the means, but because they just feel like it. And then on top of fucking rooftops expecting to be helped. Am I an asshole for that?
No, and we see this all the time. Like I just saw like an article like yesterday about like people running out of gas on the highway, like trying to evacuate Florida now because the storm's like coming today or tomorrow, and it's like, bro, y'all have known for like a week. What's the point of having all this like early warning systems and tracking and meteorology and science and everything? Like, it's looking like it's going to be a storm and blah, blah. And people are like, I'm not going anywhere. I've been through 2 or 3 hurricanes, blah, blah. And then every time it's like everything is destroyed. It's like now you're stuck on the highway and, you know, it's taken like 8 hours to travel like 20 miles.
But what do you think it is? Why do you think people wait so long?
Procrastination, or they think it's not going to be as bad as they think it is, or they think it's overblown.
Well, see, this is why I'm wondering if I'm an asshole for thinking that, because could it be that people just can't leave their jobs for a whole week?
No, because most of the jobs,
that many 90% of Americans probably don't have the ability to go, hey, I'm taking off this whole week because there's a hurricane coming. Their bosses, dude, whenever I'm up here in New York, when we have snowstorms, and I used to work at this like a gas station here in New York, you had to go in during those days because you had to provide coffee for the snowplows. It's like, motherfuckers can make coffee at home. Why are you putting people in danger? But the company was like, nope, we have to open. We're going to be open at 6 a.m. during snowstorms. You don't think that's the same shit happening over there in Tampa Bay right now, where business owners like, I don't give a fuck. You're coming in and you're making me some money.
Well, no, because once they declare like a state of emergency, like the governors or whatever, businesses are going to be closed, period. Like that's a state, like that's your free day. That's your excuse, right? So I don't know. I think it's just people just are making up their own nonsense.
I think you're making up your own nonsense right now.
I've let my guys stay at home like on like cold days, and it doesn't even get that cold here. You know, once they call me and they say, hey, it's too cold, I give them the day with pay. They don't have to use PTO.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is okay. So the thing is, you just roll the dice, right? Like you look and you're like, there's a hurricane coming, or I mean, we're not talking about like something where it's like, you know, a couple of rainy thunderstorm days or something. We're talking about like a major, like catastrophic weather event heading your way.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at, though, is if that were here, me as a company would probably just tell everybody to stay home and not worry about, like, don't worry about your pay. I got you.
Well, yeah, but how many people are doing that though?
The way I see it as a business owner sometimes is I'm having to pay these people regardless. Like whether they're at work, like you know what I'm saying? Like if they were here, I would have to pay them anyway. So I've already factored their salaries into my annual expenses anyway. So if I could do a little something for them to make them feel better about not having to miss work without pay, why not? I've already factored it in. What's the difference? So a little bit of work won't get done, you know?
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. How many people are going to do that? How many companies are doing that?
You're right.
And
Companies should probably do that because they've already factored in. And a lot of these companies are way the fuck bigger than I am, right? But I could see maybe a restaurant, like if they close, you make no money. So I think it'd be hard to pay people. But in my case, it's, I don't know.
you know who's fucking not thinking right now is food trucks. Imagine food trucks right now on those fucking highways trying to get out of there. You'd be killing it.
Well, I've always thought food trucks should go around like the ice cream truck.
Yeah, that would
Like
be cool.
if I had a food truck coming by my house, every Tuesday at 6 p.m. and I heard the little jingle, I'd
Like,
probably
"Ba-da-da,
run out.
ba-da-da, ba-da-da, ba," and it's like a burrito truck. "Ba-da-da,
Yeah, I'd
ba-da-da,
fucking run out
ba-da-da,
there.
bum."
I'd run out there and buy a burrito. Wouldn't you? Like if
Yeah,
it's a place you like, I mean, why not? Are they allowed to do that though?
I don't
Probably
know.
not. Probably not. It's probably some government regulation telling them
Kevin
don't.
looks like he died and went to heaven.
I'm thinking
Are
of
you
senior,
are you in Florida, Kevin?
senior burro.
Not anymore.
But
Um,
from a business standpoint, Beto, here's the other aspect of that. If you're a business owner and you are not telling your people like for their safety in a situation like this to stay home, right? And they show up to work and the building gets blown over or the damage or something catastrophically violent happens, you you would be liable for that,
Well, that
right?
happened recently at that last Hurricane Helene or whatever. There was a business that where people were saying that they weren't allowed to leave, and then several people died because they got washed away in the floods.
that's what I'm saying. Like Beto would do this, but not everybody's gonna do it. I'm telling you, we used to have to go to
No,
work
I'm,
during
I no, I'm,
seasons.
I'm I'm not saying Beto. I'm
But
saying
it's not even those people. Like it's not even those people that make me the asshole. It's am I an asshole for the people that decide that we're gonna write this guy out? Like they have the means, but they're like, we're gonna you know what? Those people should not be rescued because now they're taking up resources from people who couldn't leave,
Yeah.
wanted to leave, didn't have the means, and now they are stuck on the top of a roof.
well, that's what I was getting at though, is that everybody you still have agency, right? Like you yourself, you still have responsibility. Clearly something like this has the potential to be incredibly destructive. You have to make that decision about whether you're going to stay or go. I'm going to look at it and be like, like your job's like you know, you better be here. On well, I'll be like, you know what? I gotta. For me, there is no job that I have or that I've ever had that I would choose my job over my life or my family's safety. You know what I mean? So if I get fired, I get fired. But the likely outcome is that I don't go to work. This hurricane like slams into that place, and if that building gets damaged or the place gets destroyed or whatever, they're going to need somebody to help clean it up or get it back into ship shape. And what are you going to do? All those people that decided they weren't going to show up that you're firing, who's going to work? Nobody. And like I said, if you do pull that card as a boss and you're just like, screw it, make everybody come to work, and that building gets blown over, how liable are you legally for those employees? I mean, even a PR on a PR level, if it gets out that there were like two or three people in that building, and because you were telling people that if you don't show up to work, you know you're going to be punished in some way. So you basically intimidated or forced them to show up to work, and
I
it
w-
gets out.
what about a happy median where you're allowed to stay home, but you have to use your paid time off. Or
Well,
maybe
that
even a future holiday.
well, that's fine. I mean, like schools, right? Like how schools will have snow days or whatever because they don't want school buses sliding all over the fucking roads when like it's when there's ice or whatever because they're putting the safety of the kids first, and then they stay an extra day. Toward they add it on at the end of the year. They cancel one of the BS holidays. The millions of BS holidays that they get. Um, you can do something like that. I mean, there's just options, but like Juan's saying, so the people that have decided we're going to ride out this storm, we can make it. I'm going to get boards and nails from Home Depot, and tape mattresses to the front of my house, over the windows. We'll be fine. And it's like, honestly, I think all emergency services should evacuate with everybody else. Like, if the storm is going to hit on Thursday, the emergency services are the last ones. It's kind of like leaving Saigon, right? Like it's
But
like
what
when we
about
bailed
those
out of.
guys? What about the emergency services guys? They're making those guys go to work.
They don't provide emergency service if it's too dangerous.
Well, I know, but they're still at the office.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's kind of what you sign up for, right? It's like being in the military and you get called to war. It's like, well, that's kind of what I signed up for.
So what
But
if
even
what
then,
if
they
as an
moved.
employer I put that in my in my offer letter
That
that
you're an emergency
what
service.
no, just somebody comes and applies, and I in my offer letter I'm like, you're signing up for in times of in times of natural disasters, I might need you to come in. And then
Hey,
that way in the future you could say, "Hey, that's what you signed up for,
people,
literally. You
these
literally
emergency
signed up
service
for it."
guys are gonna need their McDoubles.
Yeah.
No, man, you know what? Those guys that stay behind, those are like the freaking guys. Those guys that try to break world records by like swimming across the Atlantic, but they have a whole fucking crew. It's like, no, 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 no. I can do that. I can start swimming as long as I know you're gonna rescue me when I can't swim anymore. Like
Yeah.
anybody can try it then. No, no, you know what? If you really want to do that, get yourself out there, no fucking buddy else, and we'll see you on the other side. If we don't, we know you didn't make it.
It's like when I used to be real big into like the survival shows and survivalism, and the only person I ever truly respected was like Les Stroud, right, the Survivor Man, because he would get dropped off in a place, and he would have his camera, and he would set up his camera by himself, right, and he would have to go through the trouble of having to set up a camera, put it in a place, move it, then shoot whatever he was going to shoot, and be like, I'm going to go over there, and I'm going to, I got to head that direction, downhill, and maybe see if I can find a better campsite for the night, to get out of these mountains before it's, gets too treacherous. And then he's got to take down his camera unit or whatever, and then go hike down and set up again. Versus like Bear Grylls, who has like, when you're watching him, like, I'm going to scale up down this sheer glacier because I've got to get to lower elevation. And the only way down is I'm going to have to freehand climb down this slippery, icy mountain. And then you're realizing as he's doing it, there's like a cameraman probably hanging from a, like a bungee cord or a rope. Because I always think, like, who's catching this angle? Like, who's shooting these shots, right? Like, clearly you're not by yourself. And then we found out that he was like, at night, they were flying him to a hotel, and then they would fly him back to the spot in the morning. So they were like, what a fraud, But like these guys, like what I mean by emergency services or military or National Guard, when they're put on alert for like these states of emergency, they are in positions that are highly fortified for this sort of situation, right? Like the National Guard and the military guys that, the rescue guys, when the storm is blowing in, they're not going out to rescue anybody. They're at some like forward staging area or something that's been like, is like prepared for like flooding, wars, probably elevated position, all these things where they are ready so that when the storm passes, then they can go out and start helping people. But they are set up with everything they need and the endless infinite resources of the tax paid, United States government behind them. You are like Joe Dumbass who is buying, things on his Home Depot credit card, who knows nothing about engineering, knows nothing about like high water rescue, doesn't understand like any of these things, unless you were like, I don't know, pararescue before or something like that, like like the Rock in that movie where like San Andreas or something like that, where you're already like you used to work for one of these rescue teams, so all. It's gonna be. It should be like Afghanistan when Biden pulled everybody out. Just load up shit on planes. Everybody on a plane. Everybody get on the plane. We're pulling out today. The hurricane hits Thursday. Tuesday night, emergency services, everybody else, the last people, we're out. We're moving to a different location until the storm is over. Then we'll come back and start dealing with rescues and all that other stuff, right?
Which
Except
brings me
Juan,
to
you
my
still got to
next
go to the
question.
gas station.
What's that?
I said, except Juan, you still got to go to work at the gas
I
station.
gotta go. Gotta provide coffee.
Well,
for
no,
those.
again,
No,
the guess. But if they stay, anybody who stays after that emergency team pulls out on that Tuesday night, you are on your own. Don't call anybody. You're riding out the storm. You should be forced to, like, if you're going to ride it out, you're going to ride it out.
That brings me to my next question, though, is how are we in Florida in general so bad at evacuation? How is there people stuck on highways? How is there no gas at gas stations? Like, how are we so bad? Especially when you got Florida, the local government, the state government, and the federal government all saying that this is a once in a lifetime storm that's going to come and rip through the shit out of Tampa Bay area. How are we so bad at this? Why wouldn't the U.S. or the Florida National Guard or the U.S. be sending like fucking C-130s in there and just evacuating the fuck out of people?
Because it's not important, man. What matters is Ukraine. Let's send more money to Ukraine. 170 billion or whatever. That's kind of fucked up too. I mean, you've heard about all that, right? Like the money they're giving to the people that just got hit by the hurricane, they were getting like $700 and something. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
For that Helene, but Ukraine's getting like hundreds of billions of dollars.
Look at Lahaina in Maui. That's still that. I mean, that place looks like it looks like the Gaza Strip right now. Like it was destroyed by a fire almost 2 years ago, and they basically insurance companies and everybody else have been doing everything they can to hold back that money because really they want that land. They see an opportunity, and they're hoping that they can just wait these people out and then buy their land dirt cheap. And in Hawaii, land is indigenous and it's valuable.
How are Americans not more pissed about that?
They're not talking about it. Like, honestly, how many stories have you seen on Lahaina or even
well, not
really
just Lahaina, but even just recently that
Hurricane
Helene,
but I mean, how
like,
many stories are you really seeing about that?
Well, we've seen it.
No, we've seen a few, and that's because that's relatively recent. But like I said, Lahaina, it was a year, 2 years ago, and you just don't hear anything about that right now. And I guarantee in about 6 months you won't hear anything about Florida.
Now well, I don't know, because I was gonna say if Trump was president right now, would you be hearing more about it?
Oh yeah, I mean you're hearing about it now. You're already hearing about like things like as if he's president. You know what I'm saying? Like you're hearing stuff like Trump did this and Trump said
but has
that.
this always been the case, or is it just more
No,
in
this
your
has
face
always
now?
been the case. Remember, George Bush fucked up that hurricane in Louisiana.
Katrina.
But during Katrina, was he sending? I don't know. I'm just asking. I really don't know. Like, was he sending billions to?
It's not that they're sending billions to Ukraine or sending billions to Israel. It's the fact that the government is just fucking.
No, I know they're bad at managing shit. Period. What I'm saying is, how are you not enraged about hundreds of billions of dollars going to a country that doesn't even fucking matter?
Well,
to
for
the
me,
average American.
The reason I'm not enraged about it is because I know that it's not about Ukraine. It's about the fact that our government sucks balls. Like it has nothing to do with that billions went to Ukraine. It has everything to do with the fact that they don't know how to manage FEMA, that they don't know how to manage.
I get it. I mean, I get all that, but even even that aside though, like just the fact that people are broke ass poor right now in those affected areas, whether they had insurance or not. It's like when we go back to when Kevin talks about reparations or student loans and he starts talking about, would you rather send the money to Ukraine or pay reparations? I guess if I really had, if it's like we got to spend
Well,
this
yeah,
money
but what
regardless, I'd rather do the reparations and just fucking be done with that and fuck the Ukrainians. You know
I
what I'm
get what
saying?
you're saying, but what I'm trying to tell you is that those aren't mutual. Like they're it doesn't have you don't have to stop sending money to Ukraine to have a good response team in the government. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like
Well, yeah,
if if they were saying like, hey man, we sent money to Ukraine, so now we can't fund FEMA, that's one thing. But that's not true. Regardless of Ukraine, FEMA sucks balls, and they've always sucked balls. And that's why I'm saying, how are we not better at this shit? Especially in Florida, where hurricanes hit all the time. How are we not better at it by now? And so, you know what I'm saying? So even
Yeah.
if Ukraine wasn't
but this
having kind of
goes.
like Hurricane Katrina, kind of like COVID, when COVID hit, how are we not better prepared? How do we not have the budget and the management and the people and the supplies to
Bureaucracy.
handle an emergency?
It's just bureaucracy. It's just a bunch of red fucking tape.
But this goes
Exactly.
back to. I mean, this
Just
gets
look at
deeper than.
what happened with Elon Musk and Starlink, and that same fucking hurricane I keep bringing up, where he's trying to get Starlink out to these people that have no fucking communications whatsoever, and then you got the fucking uh the FAA just fucking cock
FCC.
blocking them, or
Yeah, the
FCC. Sorry,
FCC. Well,
yeah,
it's.
you got
I mean,
the
but
cock
we've
blockers
known
out there in the government telling him he can't.
we've known this, and this has always been my problem with government. Right? Government serves its own purpose. They will be able to. They will always be able to justify spending money any other way than on us, right? And I mean, this is an argument that goes back through multiple administrations, through multiple, depending, regardless of which party has been in office. Our government is constantly finding ways to take lots and lots and lots of our money and be charitable with our money, but not with us. I mean, even the immigration issue we were just talking about last week or a couple of weeks ago. You talk about all these, you have these legal migrants, the Haitians, right? They were all transplanted and moved and being taken care of in, this Ohio suburb. And the government, what I found interesting about that, by the way, is that the response of the government to combat this narrative that there's like crazy, you know, Haitians out there eating cats and dogs and driving cars and crashing into things and everything, their response has been to like show this overwhelming like footage and everything of no, they're not. The Haitians aren't doing that. No, look how well look, these are the facilities. They're not out here being criminals. Here's the facilities that we're housing them in. Here's the food, our job placement programs, this and that. And I'm like, oh, but nobody's stepping back, looking at that angle, going, wait a minute, why are we spending so much money and effort on these people to do this, but you don't do it for Americans? Like Americans can't buy homes. Like, you know what I mean? Like everybody's talking about what they'll do after the election to help Americans buy home.
Well,
You know,
see,
But
and
you're
that's
helping.
you bring up a good point about migrants, and that I've not really thought about before is same thing, right? It's all this money expenditures. So I can't tell you how many times I've heard on like the news in past years about this homeless shelter is full. We can't hold any more people at this homeless shelter, but we got enough money to house fucking hundreds of thousands of immigrants. How does that
Exactly.
make fucking sense?
well, but that's kind of what I'm trying to get to. That's the point I'm trying to get to. Is that do I think we should be sending money to like Israel? No, I don't think we should be sending money to Israel. Ukraine, maybe I can have a conversation on that, but Israel, no. But even if I disagree with Ukraine, what I'm trying to say is that I don't think that, while I don't agree with that, and I'm pissed that people in Florida aren't getting the help they need, people in North Carolina are getting the help they need. I'm pissed that, homeless people don't get the help they need. Somehow the government always seems to find money to spend on shit. So that
That's
whole
that's our
so
complaint.
that's why I don't like the whole vilification of migrants or immigrants. Is like, hey, we're spending so much on immigrants and now we don't have money for homeless. Well, I don't think that's true, because if you keep spending on Ukraine and you keep
Yeah,
spending on
no,
Israel,
and I
and
don't mean
now they're going to give money to Lebanon, and now they're giving money to Florida, and they're giving money. So you can't tell me it's not because of immigrants. It's because you just don't know how to fucking manage that money, or you don't care about the homeless people.
Well, the problem there is that you blame you're right. The target shifts, right? Like the government slips out of the blame, but it's because we're looking at the people are looking at the root cause. If the government has to spend this money, right? Because the government has made it their job to spend our money on any number of random nonsensical items, then the only thing that we can do, and they kind of encourage it, is to shift the blame to the source, right? We look at it as the government's like, we can't let, because their first argument is going to be, we can't let people in need starve. We are better than that. We are, humanitarians, right? Okay, we can't let people, just suffer if we can do something. That's not the Christian American way. Well, then our only option then is to look at the immigrants and go, well, why them and not the Native Americans or the homeless or or like legally migrated, Latinos or the homeless, right? Or veterans. Why are we not spending money on those people that, like, all that? It's basically the shifting of the finances, right? Like, all that money that we are spending, that billions and trillions, maybe we need to cut that amount that we're sending to Ukraine in half and pour that back into our people. And this is why when we talk about, like Beto said, like, I'm not for the government stepping in and paying off people's student loans just because people made poor decisions, right? They chose to take those student loans. But if we're going to send, I mean, how many is it? Almost like $1 trillion that we've sent to Ukraine over the past 2 years for their war. Sorry, Ukraine, you deal with your own issue, or you sue for peace with Russia, or you just give up. I don't care. But then why not give that money to Americans to pay off the student loans? If we're going to give it anywhere, we might as well give it within our family. It's kind of like,
I
if
mean,
with us.
Beto brought that up last week, and I agree with that. I agree with, let's not help them, let's help us. But my problem here is that if we had $1 trillion to give to Ukraine, how come that didn't go to us to begin with? That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not that we don't have that money for homeless or for student loan or for healthcare. It's that the government doesn't want to use it for student loans, homeless, healthcare, because they obviously had it because they gave it to Ukraine. Before Ukraine had a war, we had $1 trillion apparently sitting there.
well, no, well, yeah, well, yes and no, right? Because they wrote it in. It's a bill.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So they had that money somewhere to spend it. You know what I'm saying?
It's just data in a database at this point with money,
Yeah.
right? You're not
Not only
even
that,
literally printing it
but
anymore.
whenever they want, they just print more money.
But Beto was
Anyway.
gonna say something about why he doesn't want to shit on, or he's not.
Oh no, I mean I wasn't trying to shit directly on immigrants either. It's just the example, right? It's the you're already building facilities, or you
Well,
you
but
obviously it's like what you're saying is you already have the money. You obviously had the money to spend, so
exactly.
you obviously had the ability to build a facility. But why are you building it for those people instead of our own?
Well, but you bring that's exactly what I'm trying to say though. Like,
Yeah,
okay, so let's say we didn't have a surge in migrants, right? How come you still weren't building those facilities for
exactly.
homeless?
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
here,
stop
I'll
blaming the
even- I'll
migrants.
take-
The migrants just expose the fact that the government does have money. It just refused to use it on our homeless.
Well, I'll take it a step further. If you really want to go, because what'll happen is you shift it, right? Like, if we stopped spending that money on migrants and started building facilities for the homeless, then people would just be complaining about homeless people getting all these handouts, right? We do that too, right? Like poor people and their handouts. My question is, if the government has all this money, maybe the government doesn't need all this money if they're, if they have all this money to spend. So instead of, maybe they're collecting too much taxes then, because you have all this extra money. So maybe you decide, we're not going to collect, we're going to cut the tax rate down. Or hell, we're not going to collect taxes for a year because we don't need to, because we have all this money that we could be saving instead of spending. The reason why they say we need all this taxes and you got to pay all this tax money is because they've got it earmarked for about 100 different things, and we're giving it to 1,000 different countries for all these reasons, when we should be, it's like, if you think about like your own personal household budget, right? We all make money. There's a difference between loaning my brother like $200, $500, right, and loaning like my next door neighbor or a coworker $500. Like, if I have the $500 to spend, of course I would choose a family member. But if I have that extra, why not give it to the family member? It would be like me saying, no, I don't have it, bro.
Why wouldn't you tell your boss, hey, I'm good with money, I don't need to collect a paycheck?
Yeah. Or the church.
That's what you're saying with the taxes, right? Like, no, we're good.
Or like a church, right? Like, people pay like tithing. Some churches, they require like 20% of your increase or whatever for the tithing. My thing is, if things are tight, I guess I won't pay the church this month, right? Like, let them fend for themselves. The Catholic Church isn't going to go under. Trust me. Like, they're not going to go out of business anytime soon. And if they do, that probably would be better for them, because all churches, for that matter, they should be, if they start getting derelict, start selling off some of those gold candelabras, guys. If you all
Well,
that means,
that's another thing. Like, it doesn't even. So we can disagree on whether homeless need money. Like I said, like I'm not saying I agree with how we're spending our money, like with Ukraine or Israel or student loan debt or whatever the fuck it is. I'm not saying I agree with funding homeless. I'm just saying that the government obviously has the money for migrants, and it had it before migrants surged. So why didn't it spend it on homeless? I'm just saying, stop believing the government when they tell you, or the opposite side, or your side when they're telling you, oh, it's fucking immigrants that are taking all our benefits. Well, no, because before there was a surge in immigrants, homeless veterans still didn't get those benefits, and the government obviously had that money somewhere. And guess who was the president before the surge who had that money available? It was Trump. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, don't believe them. Don't believe the hype that the government is sending money to immigrants and not veterans. It's like they weren't fucking sending it to veterans before. How long have we had a veteran problem? Since fucking like Bush? We've been talking about veterans. Huh?
Since Nam.
Well, I mean, yeah, technically, right.
Yeah.
I mean, Vietnam veterans weren't treated very well when they came back. They didn't have how. That's why we have so many homeless Vietnam veterans. But the thing is, like, what I'm trying to say is, I forgot what I was trying to say. What I was trying to say basically is that they're not really. Stop vilifying either one side or the other, because it's the government who's not managing that money. They obviously had that money somewhere and refused to spend it on the right things. That's all I'm saying.
So it just takes it back to what I was saying is, why are we not more enraged as a 300 million plus peoples? You know what I mean? Like, how are we not fucking like revolt? We can go protest the fuck
I'll tell
out
you
of.
why we're not enraged. I'll tell you why. Well, go ahead, and I'll tell you
I was
why.
just gonna say, we can go protest the fuck out of some, criminal, right? Like George Floyd being offed, and I get it, whatever. I'm just saying, like, we can go protest dumb shit like that, but we can't protest like the bigger picture like this. Like,
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I think America is not enraged. I actually am enraged. I was enraged this morning, and this is why I brought up the whole "how are we not better at evacuations?" Because this morning I was thinking to myself, how the fuck is our government not better at this shit. Since that's one thing we're known for in the fucking Southeast is hurricanes. So, and I'll tell you why. It's because the left blames the right and the right blames the left. People need to listen to a show like ours, who is fucking shitting on the government itself. If people were just, if left and right came together and go, you know what? This isn't a Trump thing and this isn't a Biden thing. This is a fucking government thing. I'm fucking done with this fucking government not doing shit for us. Then I think people would be enraged. But right now, it's hard for people to get enraged because they have to stand on their, no, this isn't Biden. He's doing the best he can. No, fuck that dude. The left needs to say, fuck that dude. And when Trump starts using this as a political game, just like Harris did going to North Carolina, those people should be like, yo, Trump, fuck off, man. This isn't a political game. People are dying. But no, oh, Trump cares for us. So he came over here and he started talking and, fuck off, man. Like, hold these people accountable. The reason nobody's enraged is because they can't hold their own fucking party accountable for their fuck ups. They need to stop looking at parties and start looking at government as a whole again and tell them to go fuck off when they don't do shit correctly.
Yep. Well, that yeah, it makes me fucking it makes me angry that we're not angry.
Well, look at who's angry right now. You're angry. I'm angry. Kevin's angry, but we don't really subscribe to an actual party. So we're allowed to be angry at government.
But it yeah. I
if
mean,
you were a liberal right now, you'd be defending your side. If you were one of those, the average voter right now, me and Kevin would be telling you how fucked up this was, and you'd be telling us how no, Biden's doing everything he can, and FEMA, is in there, and they're trying. That's what you'd be saying right now, because you have to subscribe to that apologist idea for your own party.
Well, look at the history. It's every party gets it, right? Every party gets it from their side, from the opposite side. We were talking about Katrina during George Bush, right? Then you had, what was it, Alice, that happened during the Obama administration. And of course, you had the riots that all happened that tore up things during the Obama administration. And then what was the other thing? And then during Trump, hell, COVID, right? How that was handled by both parties. Because when people, the left complained Trump didn't do enough or didn't act fast enough or didn't protect us fast enough and did this and that. And then the left gets in and enacts everything. And then, the right wants to blame them for shutting down and making us wear masks and getting vaccines. People didn't do it. And then everybody blames somebody for not doing enough. And then, hell, what's his name? Joel Osteen. Remember when I think that was during Obama's administration, that hurricane. And everybody was like, he didn't open up the stadium to allow the people to go in there. Or he didn't open up his church, or whatever. But he did try to open his church. He was going to do it, and the government told him, "Oh, no, you can't do that without we can't allow you to do that because it poses a risk. Like people might be trying to make it to you or do whatever, and at this point, people should just shelter in place or whatever or evacuate. Right? They didn't. It was a liability." And then when it started to catch a lot of heat, and it was all this, "Oh, look how terrible Houston is affected." Then they were like, okay, you can go and open your church because we need that resource now, right? And he caught hell, like people were like he was too rich, like he was putting the locks on his church and not wanting. But the other thing is there was a liability issue. And then afterwards, people don't talk about how the refugees from that hurricane destroyed the inside of his church. Because people were sleeping in there doing whatever. And of course, just like in every public place ever, people, if it's not their home, they don't take care of it. And even if it was their home, they wouldn't take care of it. It's like the same thing with we've worked at really nice places, really nice, like me and Beto. And you go into the bathroom and there's boogers smeared on the wall in the stalls. And you're like, who the fuck does this? Right? Like, we work for a Fortune 500 company, a major financial institution. And it has this nice bathroom with a nice tile and the basins or whatever. And then somebody's sitting on their ass in the sink. And instead of reaching over and grabbing the toilet paper to blow their fucking nose or wipe it, they're wiping their boogers on the wall. And it just tells you, yeah, no matter where you are, people are assholes. Everybody wears a suit and tie here, but they're still smearing their shit hand on the wall because they don't want to fucking.
No, I think the better example would have been piss all over the seats.
Well, that
piss
just
all over the
happens
floor. I'll never understand how men cannot piss in the fucking toilet, dude. That'll
Well, Beto,
Beto,
those of us who,
have you ever tried to hold a 12-inch cock that's
yeah,
5 inches around?
that should make it even easier, right? The longer,
no,
maybe that's what it is. Is you got all
no,
these like
because
you got
you're
all these
trying to
men with
hold this
micro
hose
penises
and then
running
you're
around.
trying to angle the hose because you got
No,
to lift it up because you don't want it to go in the water.
Think about it. Think about it. You're outside trying to water something. You prefer the longer hose is easier to maneuver. What you got is men with these little tiny hoses that you can't even point it.
Not if it's a wa not if you're trying to compare a water hose watering your plants. What if you bring a fucking fire hose? You can't control that shit. You're like, "Fucking shit."
Have you seen the video? Have you seen the video of the guy that like he got his lady to do the experiment where she's got to pee in a bucket and he's got the hose and she has to hold it between her legs and she starts pulling it out more and he's like no, and she's like he's like no, shorten that up a bit and she's like but yours hangs down. She gave her husband a great shout out. I know, like that was for his ego, but she's like yours hangs way down here. But she was trying to pee and he would hold the hose and he would he would change the flow and she was getting it all over the place. He's like, yeah, it's not as easy as that. Look, this is
Whose flow changes like that though?
Yeah, my piss doesn't change flow. What the fuck are you talking about?
because
He needs to go get his prostate checked or something.
Yeah, dude, that guy's got issues for real. I've never experienced flow change. Unless maybe like if I'm trying to pass a fart or something while I'm taking a piss. Other than that, I can honestly say I've never had that issue.
after sex, when the smegma makes your hole like doesn't quite separate, and you get
Well, yeah, but
the
this guy
double
was
streams.
presenting it as a normality. He
Liquid
needs
hot
to go to a doctor.
smegma.
The other thing too is sometimes you're in such a hurry because you wait till the last minute to use the bathroom, and then you got to. At work, we used to do it all the time.
I think what we found out here, Beto, is that when you would complain about piss on the seats, it was Kevin.
Yeah.
I think that's what the conclusion is here.
He's trying to defend himself.
The other thing too is I don't want you got that little hole in the center, right? I don't want splashback. And I'm not touching that toilet seat to lift it up.
You don't have to lift the seat and to not
Where
literally
were we going with this?
Well, anyway, back to the reason so this is what makes me the most angry about us not being angry is we fucking revolted, back in 1970, I'm sorry, 1775 or whatever the fuck, right? 70, what was it? Anyway, we fucking now I feel like Biden. We revolted back then over fucking pennies, dude.
Well, yeah, but pennies back then were hundreds.
Well, no. The thing is, if you adjust for inflation so like some of the main reasons for the Revolutionary War was taxation, right? So you had like the Stamp Act, you had like the Sugar Act,
the Tramp Stamp Act.
the Tramp Stamp Act. So the Townshend Act. So you had these acts that were imposing more taxes on the American people. If you adjust those amounts of those taxes for inflation, so let's say like the Stamp Act, right? That had it imposed a newspaper tax, tax on legal documents, on playing cards, so you're talking pennies or shillings, right? You're talking like on a newspaper, it's 33 cents when you adjust for inflation. 33 cents in today's dollars. On the tea tax per pound, it was 96 cents. On molasses, it was 98 cents. So you're telling me that back the fuck then, we were angry about 98 cents? But now in today's fucking dollars, with all the fucking income tax, all the fucking waste of money, all this other bullshit, like fucking I'm paying tens of thousands of dollars in taxes a year and that's not enough to enrage anybody? Like, that doesn't piss you off enough? How were these were the people just more pissy and bitter back then because they didn't
No,
have
because I'm
TikTok?
telling you, they had a common enemy, right? Which was the crown. Right now, we don't have the common enemy of the
The
crown.
common enemy is the fucking government, though.
Correct, but people don't see it that way. People see the enemy of the left is the right, and the enemy of the right is the left. That's what I'm saying. The reason we're pissed is because we do see one person or one thing up there with just government. We see government as a problem. So that's why people aren't pissed, because once you start talking about Biden and how he fucked up Afghanistan, you're going to get liberals talking about how, no, well, technically Trump was the one who started. So nobody actually gets pissed at Biden. Only half the country gets pissed at Biden. And even then, out of the half, only half are really pissed. The other ones are just like, yeah, I didn't vote for the guy.
Well, because they do a really good job of keeping us at each other's throats. It goes back to what we were talking about like a couple of weeks ago, where the housing issue, where people can't afford to buy homes. They were saying like you have to make like 75K to just begin looking at getting like starter homes now, right? Reasonably. I mean, technically, you could probably buy a home if you really are good at budgeting your
But
money.
who the fuck isn't making 75K nowadays?
Well, see, I'll give you.
But that's the problem, is that some people, a lot of people aren't making exactly 75K, but what I mean is that's just to get the ground floor. But you also still have to think of like your HOA fees, if you have those, insurance. If you have a car, you got to have the car payment. You've got kids, you've got daycare issues, all these other things that factor in. And then if they raise the rates, like most people are living, we're one bad, like not pandemic, but national situation away from everybody being fucking busted again, right? Like things don't need to be as expensive as they are.
What is that? See, the thing is, you should be even more enraged if that's the case.
Well, no, because what I was saying is that the government keeps you fighting, though, because Kamala's got a plan to fix things to help people buy homes as soon as she gets elected. Trump has a plan that's going to bring down housing prices so that they're going to be affordable for people with sensible, income wages to be able to buy homes and get Americans buying homes again. Neither one of these motherfuckers have put their plans in action when they could have done so. Trump had the chance to see this coming 4 years ago, and he didn't do it, right? Kamala's been in office the past 3 years, or at least with Biden, and I know she's only vice president, right? But then
No,
in her
she has
campaign,
recently said that everything that she did with everything that Biden has done, she was heavily involved in and was
yes,
a part
that's
of
what I
the
was about to
decision.
say.
She said it herself.
No, but Biden has too, that she was intrinsic to all these things that are happening, so she could have had a major effect on it. So they both could have done something, but what they do is they keep us arguing because they both point fingers at the other side, and it causes your side to be reactionary. Because if the left is always blaming Trump, if you're on the right, you feel obligated to defend your side, right? And so it's like a sporting event. It's like when people talk about fighters, Juan, you're big into like knuckle up or into bare-fisted fighting and I almost said bare-chested fighting.
Double fisting.
That'd be a great sport.
Yeah.
Bare
fisting, double fisting.
Bare-breasted fighting. I want to see titties
finger
slapping each other.
cuffing.
I just invented a new sport.
Let me give you a perfect example, or at least perfect example for me in my head, is immigration, right? Immigration. Everybody should be pissed about immigration right now, right? So where was the rage? We know that liberals have this view of immigration that allows immigrants to believe that they can come here and get whatever they want, and that's why they come here. We know that liberals have something to do with a surge, right? Where was the rage when there was finally going to be a bipartisan bill to help with immigration, and it was tanked?
And it was Tang,
It was tanked.
like
It was tanked. Like,
Tang.
people didn't vote for it. They didn't even come up for a vote. Where was the rage from both sides demanding that their government do something about immigration?
Because it's all the other fucking pork in these bills. That's the other problem, right?
But there
It's
wasn't that is a problem, but that bill didn't have that much pork. Like, conservatives supported it until Trump said, man, let's try not to support it yet. Right? Where was the rage from both sides? Because they couldn't rage, right? The left side had to support Kamala Harris and Biden and their team, and the right had to support Trump. Well, no, Trump's going to do a better job. This bill was, not that good. Well, really, it wasn't that good, but for a while, most prominent conservatives were on board. Where was the rage? Why didn't both sides rage and go, hey, we fucking need help with immigration. Do your fucking job.
Yeah. The simple solution would have been to pull that shit out on its own, in my opinion. Because then there's no excuses from anybody.
But there wasn't
There's
any excuses anyways.
you eliminate the excuses on both sides by going a single topic bills. Right? There is no excuse. What's your fucking right now? It's any excuse in the book for the right to say, oh, there was money for Ukraine in there, which there was. There's this in there. There's that in there. There's a million excuses of why you won't support it.
And that's fine. So, but where was the government? Where was the people outraged anyways?
No, yeah, I agree. Why the fuck are we not mad? Why are we? But on the flip side, and what fucking aggravates the fuck out of me too is you got all these fucking idiots out there protesting for Palestine. What the fuck are you on? Like, why are you not protesting the shit going on here? Why? Fuck Palestine. What the fuck has Palestine done for you? Take care of your shit here. Now, if I saw you protesting taxes, and then I saw you protesting Palestine, the supposed genocide, I might even fucking back your cause. But the fact that you make that your cause, like that is your fucking identity now, is pro-Palestinian fucking protests. What the fuck are you on, dude? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the logic.
It's like, with all the issues we have here, why are you not protesting homelessness in America?
Yes.
Instead of protesting Palestine.
Yes.
The thing about Palestine is, I understand Palestine, but I hate to sound like a dickhead, but Hamas did fuck that shit up on October 7th.
I think the big issue with Palestine, though, is I don't know if people. I think the reason they're protesting it is because they see that money going.
No, they're not.
I think.
No. That is not. If you watch any of these protests, or the reason why, it's not about the money. When was the last time leftists cared about money?
Well, that is one of their platforms. One of those platforms is stop sending money to Israel.
Yes, but because they support Palestine, not because they don't want money spent.
But why can't we get together on the fundamental issues and everybody protest to stop sending money to Israel?
But protest the money, not
correct.
Because they're not, those same people are not protesting Ukraine. They're not protesting.
Well, they are.
Ukraine.
They are. It's just nobody.
Not the pro-Palestinian people. No.
Well, no, but nobody. The reason why you don't hear about that as much is because of the fact that nobody cares about Ukraine. Is the way that Israel has a strong lobby, right? A strong popular lobby in the country for people that care deeply for some reason about Israel's well-being, as opposed to like Ukrainian well-being. Like they don't care about Russia or Ukraine. There's no they don't have a winner in that fight that they prefer other than dicking with Russia. There's no other reason for Ukraine. When it comes to Palestine and Israel, think about it. If you just say, like, you know what, let them fight it out. Let's cut the funding And if Israel has the money, and all this power, let them handle Palestine on their own without our input, without our resources, right? And then let it go. But then the moment you say that, you're anti-Semitic. You see what I mean? Like we've tied it to this whole, this whole situation. So people have an emotional attachment based on that. Like Kanye made a comment, and everybody, look, they tried to destroy his entire career. Look,
But yeah,
Adidas,
but you
everybody
don't
tried that.
have. Well, I don't even know what you're talking about because I haven't seen a single pro-Israel protest.
No, they don't. You don't have a pro-Israel protest because they're the default state. That's like
Okay.
saying I haven't seen it. I haven't seen.
I guess.
That's like saying I haven't seen a pro-white protest in a while.
No. I guess I'm
You
not
don't see
seeing
those.
what you're. I'm not picking up what you're putting down.
Well, here.
Well,
Well,
what's
listen.
the point of your little rant there? I'm not understanding.
Let me lay down something for you, so and pick up what I'm laying down, because I don't like to chew my food twice.
Hey, that's not true, man. During I just looked up here in the New York Times, and they're talking about a pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian students at Columbia hold side-by-side protests.
Well, yeah, but the Israeli protests are doing it as a counter protest, not.
Here's my thing. Why is it okay? Those people who keep on saying stop sending money to Ukraine, how come those same people aren't saying stop sending money to Israel?
That's what I'm saying.
That's my point. They're not going to,
No,
because
but
Israel is considered a better. People don't care about Ukrainians. Like before this war, most people probably couldn't pick Ukraine out of a fucking map.
Yeah, but that's
They didn't. They can't tell you. They couldn't tell you the capital. They don't know anything about Ukrainian culture, but Israeli
that is my
culture
point. That
and
it's
the
not
Jewish
about the money.
society.
That is 100% my point. That it's not about the money being sent. Otherwise, they'd be protesting every fucking dollar going out. They're only protesting the Israeli money because they are pro-Palestine, and that is it. And that's the part that I'm talking about that pisses me off is all these thousands of young people have made this their cause, is people fucking thousands of miles away that would even fucking kill them if they had the chance. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
half of these people are fucking gay or lesbian. They'd be thrown off a fucking building over there. But somehow this is their cause. This is a hill they're dying on versus protesting, like Juan said, fucking homelessness, taxation, overspending. Protest the fucking government debt. Protest that. Protest the overspending. Like, what the fuck are you doing protesting for Palestine?
I think that's what we should do. We need to start our own protest.
It's not a catchy. The one thing about causes that you need is, somebody once said that, like, if you want to have the only way to have a good cause, it's got to be able to be something you can put on a t-shirt.
Yeah, so just come up with a catchy slogan.
Well, the thing is, it's hard to say. It's hard to go out and who do you protest the spending?
The fucking government. Who the fuck else?
No, we saw what happens when you.
We revolted
No,
once.
you want another January 6th, Beto? Because that's what happens when you protest the government. They frame it as insurrection.
That's true too. So I've always, I think about that very often. Is and the reason that
you think about overthrowing the government often, Beto?
No, I think what? No, I often think about.
Javi, cut that out. Cut
out. The flashbangs coming in the back there.
I often think about that in this day and age with our current military and 3-letter agencies, it would be nearly impossible at this point or I shouldn't say nearly impossible, but it'd be very difficult to do anything like what was done back in the 1770s. You know what I mean? Like it would be very fucking hard to pull something off because one, they got the technology and the firepower. And
well, yeah.
But doesn't that bother you?
But I was going to say, but then when somebody does use a platform that they can use to protest something here locally, we throw them out of the NFL.
Yeah, but that's just, again, it's
No,
stupid.
that's not.
That's a
See,
stupid
he
protest.
was
Yeah.
protesting something here locally that he totally believed in, which does happen. Police brutality. Why wasn't everybody else enraged with him? Hey, you know what? This guy's got a point. There is police brutality in America. No, it's got to be like, no, we support the thin blue line. Fuck Colin Kaepernick. It's like, no, wait, hold on. Maybe we should look into police brutality.
See, even Kevin, the resident black guy, doesn't agree with you. How you're trying to black explain to Kevin how he should be mad about?
That's not true because they do that to
No, but
Hispanics too.
I actually side with Juan on this. That, like I said, the one guy who at least tried, I always thought that I can
Why give up?
disagree.
If you truly believed in it, where the fuck is he now?
Well, you get
He's still
deplatformed.
blacklisted.
Yeah, you get deplatformed. You can only you can protest,
Hey,
but it does
TikTok's
no good.
free, Twitter's free. You keep going.
Like I said, you gotta have a T-shirt. You can protest, but if nobody sees your fucking protest, your protest doesn't matter.
He's
If no one
protesting.
cares,
Hey, if me as a boss, in this case, if the NFL, if me as a boss, I got one of my employees protesting something I don't agree with, or even if I agree with it, I could fucking get rid of them because dude, you're on the clock. Get the fuck out of here with your protest. Go protest on your free time.
I didn't say don't get rid of them. I'm just saying they got rid of them.
well,
No,
hold
but
on.
again,
Because you're right, but at the same time, there still is a level of unfairness there because they're all for other things, right? Like if somebody every other week I turn on football and there's people wearing like pink sneakers or rainbow, like they're more than glad to protest for the things that they think will make them
but that's
money.
not a protest, man. That's not a true protest. I'm talking about
You're protesting for getting LGBT trans rights.
I'm talking about enraged protest about
Well, but
taxation.
here's the thing: if you're going to make that argument, Colin Kaepernick wasn't an enraged protest either. He was literally kneeling during the national anthem, and people lost their shit. And which is ironic because for being such freedom-loving Americans who believe in the right to protest and free speech, everybody got in their panties over like, the granddaddy fought in the war to make sure you have the right to be able to play football and be free. Also, the right for him to take a knee and protest the anthem. Well, no, because that's disrespectful.
And then you got people like Derek Chauvin. He takes a knee, and then everybody loses their shit.
Yeah.
Hey, well, he shouldn't have done it on duty, Beto. You just said that.
Yeah. Or what about Tim Tebow? Remember when Tim Tebow was praying in the end zone and everybody on the left fucking lost their minds?
Same shit, right? Yeah, that's the thing too.
Yeah,
Juan,
I think you just answered the reason
there's a
we
flip
can't.
side for Juan. There's a flip side for you is Tim Tebow got fucked.
That answers the question. And that proves my point. The reason people do not get enraged anymore is because they have to have a side. Instead of fighting against one common enemy, the government, they keep fighting each other. That's why I say when Tim Tebow took a knee and people complained, everybody on every side should have gone after those people complaining and said, we have the freedom of religion in this country. But no, the left had to take a side and the right had to take a side. Same with Colin Kaepernick. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee, both sides should have said, you know what? There is a problem with police in this country. Let's figure that shit out. Instead of, no, I'm on Kaepernick's side. No, I'm on the police side. And now you're divided again.
I don't know, man. I mean, yeah. Well, that's another topic. But I think the other part of how they keep us not mad is
drugs in the water.
Fluoride. Fluoride in the water.
Fluoride?
No, well, maybe, right? But no, with keeping us stupid and entertained with sports.
Or TikTok.
Well, no, that's the Chinese government's doing. But TikTok makes me more mad because I start seeing shit I don't see on the media.
But like, I mean, the thing is, like, if the comparison to sports, we've been doing that for a long time with politics, and it's a very true comparison because I've talked about people who I watch sports with, and when their team tries to strip the ball, oh yeah, they're playing great defense. When the other team tries to strip the ball, oh, why are they always trying to strip the ball? That's cheating. They should be cheating. It's like, but your team just did it.
See,
Like,
so that's kind of where I'm going with this is you keep something like sports in the mainstream. Where's your rage going? Your rage is going to the game. The Sunday game you're watching, you're letting it all fucking out, right? Because you're pissed off
it's
about
going to people kneeling.
you're pissed off about people kneeling. You're pissed off about people praying. You're
I'm
pissed off because
pissed
some
off
guys
because
trying to strip the ball. Like your rage is going to the game.
I'm pissed off that Angel Reese isn't getting her props.
One vote, fucking loser.
Or you're pissed off that Caitlyn is getting too much props.
Yeah. So
Or I'm pissed off that people are calling Caitlin Clark hot.
That's when I knew. That's not to shift subjects, but that's when I knew everybody was full of cap, right? That's when you started. That's when people started to expose their bias and whatever. It's like you're mad because this hot white girl is kicking your ass and kicking your ass in what? In what? A black sport? Is that what you want to say? Like people should just admit we like Caitlin. We're supporting Caitlin Clark because we're all white people and we like the idea of a white person like dominating what we consider a black sport. And black people are mad because a white girl is getting all this popularity in a sport that they think is a black sport. This is that nonsense. It's like Caitlin Clark is what Gabby, Gabby Simone was like when she burst on the scene with the Olympics. Like everybody's like, oh, like, oh yeah, oh now you love gymnastics. No black people loved gymnastics before, really. Tennis, like people, like Juan said, they get on their side, right? Because you always have to have an alternate. You have to have you can't do anything unless there's another side to stand against. You got to draw a line in the sand, and they live vicariously, white knighting their particular side, and that's why people, like we look on things from the outside. We don't have a particular alignment. I would criticize both parties. Like I said, both Trump and Kamala, like, I don't trust either one of them. Either one could have dealt with this housing situation.
That sounds disingenuous. Look, I'm going to end this by saying it took an hour to come to this conclusion. And with all this arguing, yes, Beto, people should be more outraged at the government handling of hurricane evacuation, hurricane processes, hurricane money distribution. They should be. And they should be enraged at the entire fucking government because Florida and North Carolina fucked it up too, not just Biden.
Where's the protests?
Well, Florida won't be around to worry about it in a couple of days.
Why aren't we protesting FEMA?
I thought I was done with the whole thing. That's what I'm trying to say. Yes, we should be protesting FEMA. But no, we can't protest FEMA because, like you said, they got us divided into like some sort of fucking sports thing scenario right now where I have to go for Biden. So I have to defend the motherfucker. And I have to say, no, he's doing everything he can. FEMA's sending stuff what they can do out there. And, they're doing the best job. And it's like, fuck no. I expect more out of my government. And to the fucking Republicans,
everybody should be the government should be not in the business of dealing with stuff like this. I'm sorry, it should be just worried about make sure the roads are working. Leave those people on top of their houses.
Well, that's number one, Kevin. But part of disaster recovery after a storm is getting the roads back to tip-top shape.
That's what I'm saying. I'm finally agreeing with Beto. Like, you know what? Focus on the roads. But you can't fix the roads and clear the roads of the trees and debris if you're worried about getting that guy off his fucking roof, right? So
I'm just saying, man. Look, this is all I'm saying, man. When I as a middle class working American have some money saved
middle
up.
Class my ass. You guys are rich. I'm Look at you. You have rooms in your own homes. I'm renting a basement.
I'm not much higher than middle class.
In fact, I don't even live
Look,
here.
listen.
I snuck into this house.
All I'm
use
trying to
this
say
equipment.
is we have budgets, we have savings accounts in case shit fucks up in my house. If the pipes burst, I have a budget that I can use to repair those pipes and get back to work and get back to living. The government needs to have that shit, and it's proven time and time again that it doesn't. Instead, it just fucking spends money willy-nilly and prints more and grabs more when it needs it. Instead of being an actually proactive government, we have a reactive government, and we should all be pissed off at that government. How many times am I going to end the show?
And we have all those fucking cucks in Congress that are okay and complacent with all this shit. Doesn't that fucking make you mad?
Yeah.
All those
They
fucking
should cut
cocksuckers.
funding.
What?
In order to cover for the hurricane, it's like you said, we budget for things, right? And if you don't, if my pipes burst and I don't have my rainy day fund to fix them, that means that I've got to cut out from my porn budget, right? Like I can't hire hookers for that month until I get my pipes fixed. And that's how the government should be.
I thought the hookers were there to get your pipe fixed.
Well, that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. If you're smart,
well,
you
clean. The doctor fixes your pipes. So the hookers clean your pipes.
Oh.
Well, no, you get both. When you start looking online on like, on those websites, like escort website, you also ask them if they have experience with like plumbing. And the good news is a lot of foreign women do have experience having to, fix the pipes in their shack, that they lived in Vietnam or whatever. So when they come over here, they've got those skills. And so, hey, can you fix my pipes? Also, can you install this bidet? And then when you're done, you can give me a blowjob.
We should have just ended it when I tried to end the show.
Take one dip and end it.
That's a good ending. I thought that was a good way to go.
There's no ending like a happy ending.
Yeah. There's your ending. Stop spending my money.